The royal family of England has had its fair share of scandals, but there is nothing more shocking than the story of the Queen's hidden cousins. In 1987, the tabloids announced that 2 of the Queen's cousins were locked in a madhouse due to extreme disabilities. Their names were Katherine and Nerissa Bowes-Lyon, the first cousins of Queen Elizabeth and nieces of the Queen Mother.
Couldn't believe it that they were there, and they did look like Margaret and Elizabeth. We used to say that.
She'd only have to hear the national anthem on the radio and she'd stand up and salute.
Having 2 defective descendants in the bloodline would have been a source of disgrace for the royal family.
One doesn't really like to theorise too much, but it would seem to me that their mother had more or less rejected them in her mind as being her daughters.
The sisters were classified as imbeciles. Some sources say they had the mental equivalents of a 3 or 4-year-old throughout their entire lives. The publications revealed that they had been secretly placed in a mental hospital by their mother back in 1941. What was most shocking, however, was that until then, the Bowes-Lyon sisters were thought to have been dead.
To all intents and purposes, they were dead.
They were, in fact, admitted to the Royal Earlswood Hospital, a state-funded medical institution in London, at the ages of 15 and 22.
Oh yes, they stayed there forever. They never came out.
The hospital was widely criticised for sanitation issues, overcrowding of patients, and being understaffed, with about 40 patients per 2 nurses.
In the mid-20th century, hospitals probably got more overcrowded and less well run and less well staffed.
This is where Katherine and Nerissa lived until their deaths. There are no official records of either sister ever receiving a family visit.
She was last visited, so far as I'm aware, by direct relatives in the early 60s.
Never had birthday cards, never had Christmas cards, not when I was there.
After the story broke, it was reported that Nerissa had died just a year earlier.
Well, at Nerissa's funeral, there was no family present. It was only staff.
But I still think the royalty didn't play their part.
People from across Britain sent flowers to Katherine, who was living in a 7-bed ward at Earlswood.
She's an elderly, frail old lady. She's really little more than a child.
Buckingham Palace released a statement in response saying, "We have no comment about it at all. It's a matter for the Bowes-Lyon family." There is no evidence that the royals ever visited the sisters in the years that followed.
They'd just wait around and keep looking out the window and, see what was coming. It's a bit sad, really.
Some believe that the Queen Mother had come to find out the truth about the sisters in 1982, 5 years before the story broke, pointing to an attempted royal cover-up.
Do you think they were covering up?
No, I don't think so. I think this was a fairly standard practice all those years ago.
To this day, Buckingham Palace has failed to make a comment on the concealment. Katherine died in 2014, and the royal family never publicly acknowledged her existence or that of her sister Nerissa.